Oh, good morning everyone. I'm James from Glidden Yamaha, and this morning I am riding the 2025 Tracer 9 GT. Now, we just got this bike PDI'd yesterday. It's our demonstrator, and I will be doing a full review, but I just wanted to take it home and film a little first ride review with just my initial thoughts on my commute into work this morning. So here they are. So the Tracer 9 family has been updated for 2025. We've got some small updates and we've got some big updates. Now, engine, frame, things like that have largely remained similar or the same as the previous model. But there are a few big changes. Now, chief among them is the matrix lighting system on the front. Now, I'll go over this properly in our full review, but I did do a little bit of nighttime riding on the way home and had a little play to see how they responded, and they're pretty funky, I'll be honest. But obviously I can't show you that now because it is 7:45 in the morning and the sun's up. Now, the other big change for the GT model and for the GT Plus is a new dash, which you can see down here. So the GT has got rid of that dual screen dash that they had before, which was some people liked it, some people didn't like it. Make of it what you will. But they've now updated this dash to have massive phone connectivity, which includes full maps navigation with the Garmin app through your phone. Now, before, on the previous model, that was only available on the GT Plus, and it was a paid subscription, so it was about £4 a month if you wanted that privilege. Now it is totally free, and you get a full maps layout on the dash, which I will show you in our full review. The other thing that has been added is a slew of instruments from the 2024 MT-09, which obviously went over to the XSR 900 GP and is now on the Tracer family and the new XSR 900. And that includes this switchgear over here, which is very nice, and also the 3rd generation quickshifter, and I'll show you in a minute. So the 1st gen quickshifter allowed for upshift only, which you'll get on things like cable throttled bikes like my Tenere that I've got. 2nd gen quickshifter is up and down, and this 3rd generation quickshifter, which Yamaha is calling it, allows for up and down shift, but anywhere in the rev range. So previously you could shift as you're accelerating, as we're doing here, and you could downshift when you're off the throttle. But what you'll notice, if you can see the little arrows, there's a little quick shifter light there which shows you, it illuminates whether you can shift up or down. So the 3rd generation quick shifter will allow upshifts while you're off the throttle and downshifts while you're accelerating. So another addition that I love is the windscreen, which is now manually adjustable. So you get 100mm of travel up and down, which you just set with a switchgear down here to suit what you want to ride at. It's great. And that is a standard on GT and GT Plus. So I'm just going to raise it up to help with the buffeting here. So GT and GT Plus come with panniers as standard as before, except for this time the luggage is keyless, because we've moved to a keyless system on GT and GT Plus. so are the panniers keyless. So there's a little induction plate on the back which will allow you to open and take the panniers off, and then once you walk away they lock again, or once you go over a certain speed they will lock again, which is quite nice. It's much better than having a keyless system to then have to have a manual key to do your luggage. And that is the same with the accessory top box, which you can get as well, which we're going to fit on our demonstrator. So let's go through the dash here. So similar in many ways to the previous one, just with a bit of a facelift. Now there's a few themes to choose from. This one I like, and I'm calling the Halo theme. Now if you've ever played the video game Halo, you'll know exactly what I mean. If you haven't, then don't worry about it. If you're lucky enough to live in the southwest like me, then you get to have views like this and you're commuting in the morning. It is bloody brilliant. So, themes. So we've got a really nice, very basic one, no information at all except for things like gear indicator and revs and speed. We've got a very all-intensive one which shows you everything, including your matrix lights, which suspension setting you're on, your run time, what level your heated grips are on, all that jazz. Very fancy. And then back to my Halo one. Now the nice thing about this Halo one as well is that depending on what mode you're in, it will actually change the colour, which is quite fun. I know it's little things, and these aren't things that you should use to part with your money to buy one, but they are just cool all the same. So if we go over to Sport, that rev goes green with those funky lines. How cool is that? This on the left is your favourite information. Now that's locked in, but you can change that. You can go into the menu and change what you want. And on the right, with the up and down switch, you can scroll through basically everything else. Cruise control as standard. Now you just get basic cruise control with the GT. The GT Plus is the one with the radar adaptive cruise control. Like I said, all the switch gear has come from the MT-09, which includes the new indicator setup. Like with any new thing on a bike, it does take a little bit of getting used to, but that's not to say it's not intuitive. It's just different. That's all. It's like if you you're used to riding a Yamaha or any other manufacturer of bike, and then you go over to a Honda because the horn and the indicators are the other way around. Now this is incredibly comfortable, this bike. They have changed a few things from a comfort point of view. The bars are slightly different. They've got a slightly more neutral position. They've increased the subframe by an extra 50mm so that the rider and pillion have got a little bit more room. And they have changed the seats as well. So the seats are now a bit flatter. And on top of that, they've narrowed the front of the seat. So when you're standing, that, even though the seat height hasn't changed, it is easier to get your feet on the floor because that very front part is narrower, so it doesn't splay your legs out quite as much. So if you struggled with the seat height on the previous generation, it might be worth taking another look. Okay, let's go over a few more details on this bike now that we've stopped at a nice scenic location on the way to work. So you'll notice straight away that we haven't got the panniers fitted just yet. I've taken it home without them, but there's your keyless induction pad, for which they get basically the electrical power to allow you to use them. Electronic suspension, the same as before. So there's manual preload adjustment on the front and the rear, but the rest is done electronically, depending on what rider mode you're in. These are the new seats. So as I said, much flatter than before. We've got a narrower profile to the front of the rider seat, which is going to help with standing position, particularly those with the shorter legs. So here's that matrix LED lighting system, which you can see. Got a camera in the middle, and then these all work. Some magic. So there they are, working. Obviously not doing anything because it's just in a stationary position at the moment. And the coolest thing about this bike, which I have not shown you yet, is this. A phone holder. Look at that. So if you're riding, obviously if you've got the sat-nav paired up with your phone, then you want to keep your phone charged up. And before, you used to just have a power socket here, which you still do, USB-C socket. But now you have a little phone pocket with a USB Type A socket in there, so you can keep your phone charged up. Now, as before, heated grips, they come as standard. It's just programmable on the dash. A heated seat is available as well. They're about £430, I think. Which, if you like heated seats, is great. Look at that, what a beautiful morning. So thoroughly enjoying this bike so far. Engine wise, obviously it's an MT-09 engine. At the moment it doesn't feel really very different at all to the previous generation of the Tracer. Now usually when the press get to ride the bike, and around the time that these turn up, we get a nice big sales course sort of presentation that we have to do, which shows us all the sort of intricacies of what they've done, where they've changed like a specific cam or some gearing or increased the subframe by 50mm, for example. And then we can dive a bit further in with exactly what Yamaha have done, if anything, to tweak this engine. Obviously it's become Euro 5 Plus compliant, which has added that second O2 sensor onto the other side of the catalytic converter. But as this motor was already a Euro 5 Plus with the MT-09 that came out last year, I imagine they have just popped that straight in here. As I mentioned before, there will be a full review of this bike. I just wanted to get some initial thoughts and some initial points down into a quick video to show you this bike as soon as it got put on the road. So these indicators, you have two modes. You have a light press, which is like a lane split indicator, so it'll flash 3 times and then turn off. And then this is a full press will turn the indicator on. They are self-cancelling. So it's after time and distance. So if you're at a junction and wondering why they're not changing, it's because that's what they base their self-cancelling on. So why AMT? Obviously this bike is a manual. The GT, you get to choose between manual or YAMT options, which is the paddle shift. So if you opt for the YAMT option, you do get a couple of additional features. That is a backlit switch gear and hill hold control. If you decide to go for the GT Plus option, that is only available in the YAMT now. There's no manual option for GT Plus. What it does enable you to do is all those slew of electronics, because you've got the adaptive cruise control, for example, things like that. It means that bike is a nice complete package. The manual GT has just arrived. One demo and one stock bike is available to purchase now. The AMT models are due next month, so it's looking like April for delivery. That is for all the AMT models, not just the Tracer family, so the MT-07 for example as well. So the electronic suspension works in a similar way to before. You have suspension A1 and A2. A2 is what you'll find on pretty much all of the modes, which is more of a touring comfort. It's a bit more plush, a bit more enjoyable, particularly if you've got a pillion as well. And then A1 is available in sport mode, or obviously on a custom map which you can program as well. And that stiffens it up and makes it a more sporty ride. So if you're traveling down the motorways, heading down to the Pyrenees, for example, then you can stick it in the nice comfort mode. And then once you get into those twisties and you're riding that bike quite hard, then that stiffer suspension setup will allow it to hug the road more effectively and get around and ride more aggressively with you. So it's still very much a sports tourer, sports being a key part of this bike, because it is that very sporty 119 odd horsepower triple engine out of the MT-09 and the new R9. So what else have I got to say about this, if anything? I'm not sure what I'd do, to be honest. It's a lovely bike to ride. I'd be very happy with one in my garage. Oh, I love the keyless. Just being able to walk away from the bike. Beautiful.